Racism and Discrimination by Mariah Carrizales. Table of contents. First, we have our introduction, then we'll have some statistics, and finally, the conclusion. Introduction. When you hear the word racism or discrimination, what comes to mind? Typically, we think of the unfair treatment one gets due to the color of their skin. Racism is the belief that different races possess distinct characteristics, abilities, or qualities, especially to define them as inferior or superior. Discrimination is the unjust treatment of different categories of people, whether it's race, age, or sex. Starting off with the 2020 population in the U.S., the white population was at 61.6%, non-Hispanics were at 71.2%, African Americans were at 12.4%, Native Americans at 1.3%, Asian Americans at 6.2%, and Hispanics at 18.5%. Now, for the unemployment rates that range from ages 16 through 19, women's unemployment rate was at 5.3%, men's unemployment rate was at 5.1%, African American unemployment rate was 8.4%, white unemployment rate being the lowest was at 4.6%, Asian Americans were at 4.7%, and Hispanics were at. The reason I gave those statistics were so you could have a better understanding of what I'm about to read to you now, which are the effects of the labor market and discrimination. The first thing you should know, in the labor market, there are two types of people, gainers and losers. Gainers are commonly the white people and males. Now, the losers are those who fall under the minority, which are women and people of color. Ultimately, this ends up having a very negative effect on our economy, and here's why. National output ultimately ends up decreasing. To have the most efficient national output, we need to have maximum productivity. The end result ends up being the loss of billions of dollars to our economy, which goes on to prove that discrimination has a huge impact on our economy and the individuals that work in it. And unfortunately, it's not a positive one. A couple of ways that our government has taken action on the negative effects are in 1963, the Equal Pay Act, which this policy made it illegal for employers to pay women and men differently when doing the exact same job. Another one is the Civil Rights Act in 1964. This act makes discrimination when hiring, promoting, and firing employees illegal if it's based on discrimination. Now, there are many different forms of discrimination, but one popular example would have to be the Brown versus Board of Education case, which falls under educational segregation. Now, the other form of discrimination that I'm going to give as an example is in our justice system. Statistics show that people of color are imprisoned and serve longer prison sentences compared to white people who have committed the same exact crimes. And finally, our conclusion. Thanks to this course, I am now better educated on racism and discrimination, from how it affects our economy, minorities, the education system, and so much more, to the moral issues of the past that come into play when trying to take steps forward to positively change the unfortunate negative impacts that racism and discrimination have on our economy. With that being said, I would like to leave you all with this quote from Martin Luther King, which says, "Make a career of humanity. Commit yourself to the noble struggle for equal rights. You will make a better person of yourself, a greater nation of your country, and a finer world to live in." Thank you.